So today I would welcome you here. On this Advent day. Yes? Yes? Yes. This Advent day is the day that Sri Bhagavan came from Madurai over 100 years ago to the holy hill of Arunachala. And now you have come. Some of you have been here a while, some of you not so long. But you are following in the footsteps of many saints and many sages over a long period of time who have come to Arunachala, seeking to answer this one question: who am I? Of course, this question is not really to be answered, is it? This question is a pointer. As they say in Zen, it's a finger pointing at the moon. The natural self-radiance which you are, you already are. But you may lose sight of it from time to time. Maybe you've noticed. So the question, who am I, or what is aware here? Who is thinking this thought? Who is experiencing this play of consciousness? Is really just to point you back to the source, also referred to as the self or being consciousness. This is the primal recognition of self-radiance. All of the saints, all of the gurus who have ever been, all are living within you. It's a fortunate life when we are called to the heart by an external guru or by a holy hill. But all are only pointing to the heart of your own being. If you ask yourself the question, am I aware? Knowing immediately, yes, in this moment, here, now, awareness is here. I am aware. That which is aware is here now. You have touched the source of being, consciousness, and bliss. The challenge, however, is to remain as you are, as Bhagavan said. As being consciousness, or the self. The starting point and the ending point is awareness itself. That which you are in this moment. as soon as you know that which is aware is here now. That which is aware is here now as every one of us. It's only in the superficial belief that we are separate, that we miss this true knowing, that this awareness which I am is the same awareness which has always been here and is the true knowing of all the saints and sages and of all of you. This is what we have in common. This is what unites us, makes us whole, brings us home. That which is aware is here now. It's not somewhere else or a far distance away. It's not a far time away. It's here now. So I encourage you to keep knowing that which is aware is here now. Remind yourself as often as possible. Eventually you won't forget anymore that you are here now. Not as you, but as being, consciousness, and love. That is your nature. Anytime that you forget who you are due to experience, sensation, thoughts in the mind, emotions, simply ask yourself, am I aware? Yes. Know this directly. Knowing you are aware, you are ripe for the question, who is this I? Who or what am I referring to when I say I? Without the need to answer this question, you are simply here. And in this moment comes the possibility to recognize yourself, not as yourself, but as the self. That which is aware here now as being, consciousness, and bliss. The essential nature of this moment. What would your life be like? Ask yourself. If you had no past and you had no future, and yet you had awareness, eternal nowness, who would you be then? What would concern you? What would bother you? Without a past, without a future, here now, as being consciousness, what would there be to fear, to long for, to chase after, to become? If you knew the fullness of being consciousness in this moment, what could you possibly lack? So keep asking yourself. When you are struggling, when you feel challenged by the body, mind, or world, keep asking yourself, am I aware? And when you hear this deep, resonant yes in your own heart, just rest there. You are home. You might be surprised the ways in which the apparent life you're living changes. The joy you experience, the love you express, you give and you receive. All impersonal, and yet so rich. Eternal now. You are that. All right. Who has something they'd like to speak about today? Ask about, talk about.
How to function in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I'm just present, then I don't feel to do nothing but just be, and then I don't know how to function or do things to sustain this life.
Mm-hmm.
This physical,
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
the things you have to do for, just living in pay rent and money, and because it doesn't exist, so this thought appears that how do they combine?
If you answered this question, how, you can become very rich telling other people about it. You do understand, however, though, this question, how, is a question that's rising in a limited mind, right? In a mind that's identified with this body, mind, and experience. Yes? It's true, huh? If you are really in the here and now, you're still having this body, mind experience, yes? But all this worry associated with how, where is that?
Right.
It is in the mind, but if you are in the here and in the now, what is happening in the mind at that moment? Have you seen it? No. The mind is quiescent. When you are fully, this is the way you know, beyond anyone telling you about it or you reading about it or hearing about it in a video, that you are in the absolute here now. The absolute here now is that the mind becomes quiescent, becomes quiet. And it also revels in the quiet of your own being. So it's only when this mistaken identity as me rises up that you can begin to ask this question, how do I do this? Before that, in a moment of true eternal presence, the question doesn't rise. It just happens. The challenge is not how to do this or that in order to take care of the body, in order to take care of the mind. The question is, can you trust the Supreme, or however you conceive of that, the Self, God? Can you trust life itself sufficiently that you can remain in here now and recognize this doubt, this fear, this question about how, as a manifestation of mind, and still remain present as here, now, ness. Now, does that mean that if you go deeply into here now, apparently you already have the experience of going deeply into here now and then not moving for a period of time or not doing anything, right? It sounds like you've had this experience, and it's actually bringing up fear in you rather than the revelation, oh my gosh, I have seen who I am in my essence. Having seen that, the mind becomes troubled, becomes fearful. But this mind is the conditioned mind, right? It's what society has told you. It's what you have told yourself. It's what your parents have told you. It's what the external world has told you. But maybe no one has told you that you can trust life itself. You can say, life, you take care of it. I can't do it. I can only be here as I am. This is the true meaning of surrender, isn't it? Yes. When you throw your whole life at the feet of the Supreme. You see, this was Bhagavan's journey. This is what he did. He was 15. Imagine, he was 15. His brother gave him a few rupees so that he could go to school in the morning, which he didn't really enjoy doing anyway. So he could go pay his fees. But the night before, he awakened to this revelation that he was the eternal, unborn, undying self. And so he went to the train station instead, having heard this call to come to Arunachala, not even knowing what he was doing, only knowing this call. But he came to Arunachala, threw away all of his worldly goods, all of his money, and said, I am here at your holy feet. Now you do it. Are you capable of this kind of surrender? You are here. I will give you a hint. You are here. So you're capable of some level, yes, of this surrender. Otherwise, you would still be out in the world trying to answer this question, how? But you are not. You are sitting here. This question, how, is not preventing you from sitting here. So know something about yourself. That yes, this question is still there. It is still in the back of the mind. It is still there as this fear or this concern or this insecurity. But it is not preventing you from coming here. So while you are here, at the very least, be here now. Be fully here. If you are fully here, you can take this question and set it aside. At least for the time you're here, you know? When it comes up, how do I set it aside? The question is, when it comes up, you say, not right now, please. Go away. Sit in the corner. Not this, I'm not this, I'm not this. I am here for a purpose. I'm here for a reason. You have brought me here. Look after me. You are walking in the footpath of sages. So trust. They have got you. Yeah. When you come somewhere like this, is this your first trip here, or have you been here before?
I've been here some years ago. At this time, it was just like, it was just calling me to stay.
Yes.
There's little things.
So you're being called back. Yeah. So this time, give yourself every opportunity through joy, through presence, to simply be here and put all of that aside for however long you are here. Maybe you stay a few days, maybe you stay for years, who knows? One moment at a time. It's the only moment you have, isn't it? Right? All of these moments that you imagine for the future and so on, which gives rise to this question, how? They are just a projection. They are imaginary, coming out of conditioning. So just for this period of time while you are here, let yourself rest. You are at the feet of the Supreme. Let yourself rest.
Why is it so imbibed in this human form? The difficulty of trusting the divine. Like, just because sometimes I just tap into it like so strongly, and then it gets lost again.
Yes. But the so strongly when you are tapped into it is this is the moment to be. This is the revelation, isn't it? This is the moment to be giving most of your attention to. Yes. The rest of it is just conditioning, right? The rest of it is you have been told throughout your lifetime that you must do this, you must do that, you must educate yourself in this way, you must take care of yourself in that way, you must grow up in this way, you must marry this person, you must have this kind of income, you must have, all of that is conditioned by society. We're not blaming society, we're just recognizing that society's primary function is not to awaken you, it's to condition you to do society's bidding or to serve its purposes. But you have to ask yourself, what is my purpose? Who am I? This is the question, who am I? On a deeper level. In some way, you have already started to answer that question, so it's too late for you. You may as well just surrender. You are here for the second time. You are coming back. So now, put that struggle down, at least, as I say, during the period of time you're here. Let yourself fully embrace that you have heard the call and you have come and you are here and you don't know where it's leading you. You don't know what's to come. And it's in this moment of uncertainty and not knowing that the possibility of grace can flood your whole being. But not through worry, only through not knowing and surrendering into not knowing. The first time I came here, I had no idea what I was doing. And I just ended up here miraculously. I was called and I left again. And a few months later I came back. I said, okay, I have to go and find out what that was about. That was a strong call. Maybe you had that experience. This was a strong call. You never forget that call. You know, you go back, you try to pick up your ordinary life, you try to pick things up again, you try to resume what you were doing before, but you cannot. Eventually you come back. And the second time I came for 6 months. I wanted to spend 6 months. 6 years later, I went back. So just know that you can surrender day by day, moment by moment, into this present moment. That is your task. Begin it now. Don't wait until you're back there and say, oh, I should have surrendered. Just begin it now. Surrender moment by moment into the presence of your own being. And do that by noticing moment by moment. Anytime you forget you are aware, notice, no, I am aware. I am aware here now, and then just put everything down and go about your business. Have a chai. Sit in meditation, go to the ashram, go around the hill. Always with this recognition that that which is aware is here now, and that that is what is causing any activity or lack of activity that you experience while you're here. Awareness itself is doing the sadhana. It is taking care of you. It is looking after things. So rather than asking the question, why don't we have faith or why don't we surrender? Just surrender. You are here. You have done it. Now you have to continue to do it moment by moment. Remember the moment that you surrendered some weeks or months ago and you said, I am going back to Arunachala. I am going back to Tiruvannamalai. Remember that moment. And now do that moment by moment for however long you're here. And all will be well. Okay? Yes, of course.
There is what I guess we could call a notion that doesn't really make sense to me, saying that everything that is happening in this material world is happening in the mind, or is a projection of
Yes,
the mind.
correct.
Doesn't make sense to me. I mean,
Doesn't make sense to your mind?
no, well saying, and I mean, I go to the further point, saying that everything that is happening in the material world is just not happening. Well, in fact, doesn't make sense to my mind, because
Yes.
war is happening. Some people are doing beautiful things, but some others are doing quite awful things. So somehow it hurts me when I hear people saying, well, things are not happening. I mean, so can you clarify, like, why the way things are happening are just happening in my mind?
It seems clear that they're not just happening in your mind.
No, they're not.
But if you take any experience in body, mind, or world, right? Any experience. And rather than looking at that experience in that moment and forming an opinion or a judgment around that experience, you ask, what is the source of this experience? What is the source of this moment?
Like, right now, I wouldn't have any answer to this.
Just ask the question.
What is the source of
All experience, let's say. What is the source of this? Let's leave the world out there as it is for now. And you're just here. You're here.
I know that first, and I do feel that it's the self, and then are coming the comments and the opinions.
Yeah.
I know that, and I feel that. So I have now, I guess, a little bit the distance, so I can see when my thoughts and judgments are coming.
Yes.
Definitely.
So I want you to ask yourself if you can see where they are coming from. You
From
see,
the conditioning.
well, yes, but this is something you have heard.
No, honestly, I think I do realize that the society, and as you just mentioned, it's like the way I grew up and the education I received, that is bringing, my comments and my judgments and my thinking.
Okay. And where is this thought coming from? Where is this
From
line
the
of
mind.
thinking coming from? From the mind.
Yeah.
Now, what is the source of mind? Look. Yeah, that's it. Look. Yeah, just like that. Look. You see how you stopped right there?
Yeah, because I cannot
Okay, but that's the important point. That's the leverage point.
Okay.
Look. What is the source of mind? I can tell by the look on your face and the way your eyes are moving that you are still looking in the mind.
But I'm still searching.
You're searching in the mind for the source of mind.
Right.
You won't find it there. So you have to keep asking the question, what is the source?
What is the source of the mind?
Not the source of the mind. What is the source of this experience of mind? You're having an experience of mind.
Mm-hmm.
I can even say at this moment that for you, this experience of having the experience of the mind is who you think you are. And this is why it appears as such a barrier for you, or such a wall. You come up against this question of what is the mind, or what is the source of the mind. And your belief so strongly is that you are what you think, or what you see, or what you perceive, or what you opine, that you are, at the moment, you're not seeing that there's a transparency to it that you can fall through.
Yeah, I have to admit that I'm a little bit lost
Mm-hmm.
in this, because if it is very clear for me that I'm not the mind,
Mm-hmm.
and as much as when I feel that it's the mind talking, or I'm just I try to step out and just, hey, remember who you are. So as much as possible, I do this.
Yes.
But that doesn't take away the fact that what is happening around me. I mean, see, I struggle.
Yes. It's fine. This is the classic
Okay.
struggle of mind with its insubstantiality, its own non-existence. Mind is very good at creating this illusion that the world exists, that I exist, that it exists.
But would you say that the world does not exist?
The world appears to exist to such a degree that it's even experiential, right? It's experienced, though, through the vehicle, can say, of body-mind. And the tools which are used to experience are the senses: taste, touch, smell, and the mind. The mind also being a sense, the mind being the compiler, the one that pulls together taste, touch, smell, and so on, and then labels that in a particular way. So you can enjoin this question, who am I, who is thinking this thought? What is the source of this sensation, this taste, touch, smell experience? You can enjoin this question anywhere in your experience in order to try to understand what is the reality that I am experiencing. Is this reality limited to what can be perceived by the mind and the body? What is directly experienced by the mind or the body? Or can it be understood by following any one of those senses, any one of those experiences, any thought, any emotion, by following it back to its source with the question, who am I? Or who is thinking this thought? Or who is experiencing this smell, taste, touch? Who is having this experience? Then you can go back to the source of all of these experiences. And then what you find is not that these experiences don't exist as experiences, but rather that they have their foundation in the deep nature of your own being.
Still quite abstract for me.
Yes, understood.
And I I said, struggle. I don't have any trouble to sleep, but I have this question.
Yes, but therein lies an indicator of what I'm trying to point you toward. You don't have any trouble to sleep. Why do you not have any trouble to sleep if all these terrible things are going on in the world?
Well, because on my way I try to help.
Oh, very good. Well, that's fine. But what's the best way you help?
By not being part of those awful things, or by not adding some negative.
It's even closer than that. You go to sleep at night.
And so?
And so you deny the reality of all the terrible things that are going on for a few hours every day. Totally. You completely deny it.
I forget it.
You forget it, but what do you not forget?
Well, I guess when I sleep, I forget everything.
Do you
just remain the self?
Mm-hmm. Yes, this is a pointer for you. You see, from the standpoint of Ramana's teaching or from Advaita, the only thing that can be real is that which is never without foundation.
And that is really a point that is difficult for me in Advaita, and where I find more a little bit my way in Zen Buddhism,
Mm-hmm.
because I think the perspective is a little bit different.
Yes, although very similar, yes.
But the approach might be a little bit...
Yes, this is beautiful, and I encourage you, if that's a good approach for you, to take that approach, but you will end up
getting to the same point.
Yeah.
Okay. So like right now, for me or for those who would like to understand that everything that is happening is just happening through the mind, what can we do? Just going back all the time to the question, who am I? Or is there any other question or thing to do?
Well, this is the reason that for the last couple of years I've been asking people, are you aware? So, are you aware?
Are you aware of myself, or am I aware of?
Not aware of. Are you aware? Are you aware?
Okay.
You see, I'm trying to point you to the understanding, to the direct perception, not to a mental understanding, that you are aware. Where you are experiencing difficulty right now in this moment is with the notion that you are aware of. Because as soon as you become aware of, then you have to make decisions about what you are aware of. And then all this trouble follows that. And I'm not saying that that's invalid. I'm just pointing out to you that that's the chain of, right?
I see your point.
So if I say to you, are you aware?
Well, I guess I'm not enough, because otherwise I would realize what you have realized.
Now you just did it again.
Okay.
Your first default is always the mind. Understand that about yourself right now. The default position you are going to is not the self, it is the mind. That is what you just showed yourself. Your default position is the mind. Okay, so how do I go beyond that? The simple question, who am I? Or more directly in this case, am I aware? And that instantaneous recognition, yes. Not aware of something, just yes. Are you aware?
Yes.
You know that. So I want you to understand that this is the only true thing that any of us ever know. This is the one thing we know. Anyone can ask us, are you aware? You will say,
Yes.
To every single person who says, "Are you aware?" you will say yes. No one says, "No, I am not aware." Okay? So this is the main pointer for understanding everything that comes after, all the way out to all the apparently good, beautiful, and wonderful things that are happening in the world, and all of the tragedy that's happening in the world. The point of differentiation of the self into the multiplicity is there. Are you aware? Yes. If you rest there, literally, if you simply say, "I am aware," that's enough for me right now. I don't need any more. I only need to know I am aware. Then what you're literally saying is, the self, Arunachala, God, being consciousness, you look after the world. This awareness which is here will take care of everything. So again, we come back to trust. You see, what you are grappling with or struggling with right now is this tendency which you have for your default position to be the mind. So if you want to go further than that, you need to begin to seriously understand that your default position needs to be trust. And this recognition that in any given moment when non-trust is rising, and actually when trust or non-trust is rising, because you remember there's a duality, and if we really grab at one side of a duality, it's not going to be long before we'll have to come and grab at the other side of the duality. But for the sake of this conversation in this moment, trust and settle into awareness as trust if you need to. And see what happens. See if life around you doesn't begin to transform. And that doesn't mean that you won't be called upon at a certain moment to actually act in some way, to do something. It simply means that if the movement comes for you to act in some way, to do something in the world, in some circumstance, it will come from the heart of being, as being consciousness. It will not come from the mind.
Thank you.
Just try it.
I will.
Try for a few days, for a few weeks. Try it. Remember, there's nothing to do but remember.
I guess the word trust is a word that the key word that you gave me last week also. So I guess this is...
It's because there's no way around this mind as the default position other than trust. Because what the mind is actually trying to do by being the default position is it's trying to protect, defend, provide hope, provide, it's trying to provide security. And so when you're offered the option of stepping into insecurity, uncertainty, and not knowing what's going to be required, you see, you have to trust. Whether you trust God, you trust the teaching, you trust the guru, you trust, you have to in some way step into this component that we call trust. And understand this is only a step, right? Because this is just the step for where you are at this moment. If you are able to step, and you will, of course, able to step into this level of trust, which makes it possible for you to feel okay with uncertainty, with not knowing. When it becomes possible for you to do that, then it becomes also possible for you to look at both sides of the duality of both trust and not trust, or non-trusting, trusting and non-trusting, and penetrate through the illusion of both of those as concepts. And all of this happens naturally. It's not something you need to do beyond trusting, but also the firm practice is, am I aware? Yes, that is the firm practice. And stay. If in that moment when you say yes, if you look at that right now, look at the quality of that yes. Are you aware?
Yes.
Now look at the quality of that yes. It's pretty certain, isn't it?
It is, but I have to admit, it's also because all of you are around here. Like, knowing that we're here all together, of course.
Yes.
If I go to some other places where people have other beliefs, and
again, you're jumping into the future of the mind. Okay. All of that is that what I'm referring to is you have this tendency. It's just a tendency. It's not who you are. It's just a tendency. The default position is the mind.
I see your point.
You need to keep seeing this about yourself. This is going to come up every time you ask the question, am I aware? Yes. Then the yeah, but is going to come after it. That's the default position of the mind. So I hope that what we're doing here right now for all of you is changing your relationship with your own mind so that you begin to have this level of trust about the path that you're on that has brought you here.
That's the good one.
Yeah. And also that we raise your level of questioning or doubt about the efficacy, the usefulness of mind as the default position. Okay?
Yeah.
And we're only doing this because of the foundation you have in conditioning in the mind. That's the only reason we're doing this. If you didn't have this foundation and condition, somebody else has a different kind of conditioning, so they get a different outlook. But for you, you need to look at this. But I don't want you to begin to think of yourself as though you are a process. You are not a process. It appears that I'm giving you a process to be able to work with this default position of the mind.
But I don't have to.
But you can just understand that you are aware. Are you aware? Yes. It's not in the question, are you aware? It's in the yes. Okay? As soon as you come to the yes, you have let go of your grasp on the default position of mind, and you have come into the position of trusting here now. Huh?
Okay.
Try it.
I do understand what you mean. Yeah. I will try.
Is it clear enough?
It is way clear.
Way clear.
Well, and you just mentioned something that has been mentioned to me a few times in the past. Like, I'm always with the but. The but is always coming after, but this is just...
Yeah, this is not just you. This is the human condition before it starts to wake up. There is always a yeah, but in the mind. So don't take that personally either.
Fine. Thank you.
You see, if that yeah, but wasn't there, I could simply say to you, yeah, but you are the self. And you would drop the yeah, but, and you would just hear, I am the self, and it would be done.
That would be good.
It's in your hands. Okay, very good.
You said like that there is something that is not changing, and there is the awareness. But actually, when I go to the dream, there is still awareness. But when I go to the deep sleep, I don't actually probably see or know.
No, you're right. Yes, right.
I don't have awareness. So
you don't have awareness. No, that is the definition of deep sleep. So then you can see that awareness is actually related to the body-mind complex in that way. But if I ask you, did you sleep well? What do you say?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. Or, oh, no.
if I don't know about myself, that's
So this is the indicator. This is the indicator, the proof that consciousness is not sleeping. Something is aware that you slept well.
so even awareness is not a self then.
Awareness is the gateway to the self, which we can experience in the body-mind complex. If I say to you, what is consciousness? We could be here for decades trying to answer that question. What is consciousness? But if I say to you, are you aware? What do you say immediately?
Yeah, sure.
I don't have to define that to you. You know it immediately. Yes, I am aware. In the waking state. So this becomes the tool.
That's still just a step. It's just like first slight conditioning.
Again, yes, it's just a step.
It's kind of one of the last one. I guess, I don't know.
Yeah, rather than trying to answer that question, just come to the yes and wait there quietly. Anything else is going to take you back into the realm of mind. If you come quietly to this yes, and you feel the depth of this yes, and you know without any doubt that awareness is here now, then you wait on the will of heaven, and everything is fine. Some would say you wait on grace. But the answer, inherent in the answer yes, is the fact that grace is present. It's just that there may be some things, like this default position of the mind, that habitually come up. And so as they do, we go through this process of purification, it appears, or cleansing, until we're able to rest as awareness itself.
I have actually one more question. Why, if there is a process of cleansing,
There appears to be a process of cleansing. I did not say there was one. I said there appears to be a process of cleansing.
it's an answer before the questions. It's kind of answering it, but still, it's there. Like why it started? Like why we had this? Why we got this illusion of not being all and enough?
So this is the primary question. Yes, yes. So this is the primary question which will keep you in delusion for the next 100 lifetimes.
I guess.
The Buddha said, everything is dependently originated. In other words, everything is rising all at once together. That's all he said. But then he said, and then someone asked this question, why? He said, if you pursue that question, you will never understand the answer to the question, are you aware? Yes. Because you will always be in that default position of the mind pursuing, and it was described by someone, I don't know if it was him or not, like a ball of yarn, like a big ball of yarn. If you look at a big ball of yarn, you can try to find the one string which will, right, unravel the whole ball of yarn. But this might take you years, even for a relatively small size ball of yarn. All experience as we are having it now, based in conditioning, based in mind, is like that. If you ask the question, why, then you sidetrack yourself for eternity. Again, this comes back to this notion of, is it easier to ask why than it is to trust? Yeah.
That's my conditioning.
It is not your conditioning. It is conditioning. You are not this, not this, not this, not this. This is the way to deal with conditioning. Not this, not this, not this.
So there is no answer to this question.
The question why?
yeah, why it started.
Well, beings who are much more knowledgeable than I have said for thousands of years that there is no answer to this question. You can trust it or not.
I kind of like it because I don't want to find something that I couldn't find.
That's a different story. Yeah, but if you recognize that you kind of like it, then eventually you're going to see how it traps you. So I'm not telling you don't.
That's why I like it, because it's keeping me.
Yeah.
I mean, I still.
It's keeping you in what? It's keeping you in what?
So hunting for the answers.
Yeah, it keeps you hunting for the answer, which is an identity. Yeah, which is an identity which is not the self. It's an identity in this body mind and in the conditioning. So you are welcome to it, but you understand that you have one of two choices. You are welcome to it, and you will fail over and over throughout this entire lifetime and maybe many more lifetimes until you stop. Or you can recognize, as you already have, that this is a habit, and you can stop it now, and you can just clear that conditioning out completely. What do you choose?
Well, I guess I try to win it with the mind, but at some step you just cannot win it with the mind. Just mind can just like find the unsolvable obstacles, and then it doesn't have choice to continue.
Yeah, but what a blessing to see this tendency. You are seeing this tendency. We're talking about it. You cannot be what you are talking about. You are seeing it. You must be before that.
Of course.
Okay. So this is the blessing in it. Whether you want to keep dancing in that and failing over and over to understand this question, why, that's a choice you're making. I would just suggest to you that you can make a different choice.
That's the habit, to go to the button.
Yeah. So now put a new habit in place. If you can put that habit in place and support it, you can also put another habit in place and support that. And that is the habit to ask, am I aware? Yes. And stay in this eternal now. This is also a habit you can cultivate.
It requires some time and trust and
as long as you want.
Could it be now or soon?
Yes.
Yes.
Very good. It's really helpful to see through our own delusion, isn't it? Yeah. It's very helpful to see through the way our mind creates this illusion and this delusion. It's very helpful.
Creating ourselves.
Yeah. As we see it, we are less willing to go through it anymore. Less willing to do it.
Because it's so limiting.
Yeah. We see the pain that it causes.
Yes. The limitation by definition.
Yes. And in Zen, and in Zen they put it very succinctly. Know me, no problem. Right? This is the root of the difficulty. So give this up. Come to here now. And all is well. All right then. Enjoy this beautiful day, this beautiful clear day. After this beautiful rain last night in celebration of Bhagavan's Advent. So know that all is well. That which you are is here eternally as being, consciousness, and bliss. Hari Om Tat Sat.